Good morning. My name is David Leonard, President of the Boston Public Library. What an incredible turnout this morning. Thank you all for coming. This is a tribute to advocacy, activism, and persistence by the supporters of the Chinatown Library. And we today celebrate the opening of this space, which really returns services physically in the library, in the neighborhood for the first time since 1956. Thank you all. Mayor Walsh made a campaign commitment that we would do this. He made an announcement at the State of the City a year ago, and here we are making good on that commitment. Thank you, Mayor Walsh. There are many people to thank for many years of advocacy and for much work over the last years. I would like to acknowledge first Kathleen Chen and Kate Hui from Kwang Kao Chinese School, who have been performing as guests arrive and will perform again following the program. We would also like to thank the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Advancement for assistance with translation services in preparing for the opening. And so we'll do the next batch of thank yous, a big round of applause at the end. A thank you to Tony Capozzi for the logo design, BH+A and contractor Northern Contracting Corporation for all of the construction work. The project itself is a partnership between the Office of Neighborhood Services, the BPDA, the Boston Planning and Development Agency, and the library. Today's space now means that there are 25 branch libraries as part of the Boston Public Library system. It is one system, but each neighborhood, each community has unique needs, unique characteristics. This space will include bilingual staff, books, newspapers and periodicals in English and Mandarin, children's programming, and a host of other resources and programs. The new permanent branch librarian will be a Chinese speaker, and many of our library assistants will also have Chinese language. Part of today's program, a little bit later, will also be offered in Chinese. And now, given that there are so many people who want to speak and celebrate today, I would like to introduce the man whose promise activated the plans and whose announcement spurred the city to action, the reason we are here today, building a healthy, thriving, and innovative city. Please join me in welcoming to the podium our Mayor, Martin J. Walsh.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. And I want to thank the library, David Leonard, the president. I want to thank the staff at the library. I want to thank the board of the library and everyone at the library for having this exciting day here today. I also want to just, there's a lot of people to thank, and I'm not going to thank everyone. All the speakers that are speaking today, thank you to you for over the years and what you've done and what you fought for, and here we are today. I want to give a couple special shout-outs. One is to Aaron Lekowitz, the state representative here, who from when I became the mayor, we talked about this library, we talked about his district, and we worked over the last 4 years to make sure that we're here today. I want to thank you, Representative, for your great work in doing that. I want to thank your City Councilor, Eddie Flynn, for his support, and I also want to thank Eddie's predecessor today, Billy Lenihan, who actually helped as well in the City Council side, on the money side, to make sure that money was allocated and that we had support. But I know Eddie's going to Eddie's going to help us on the next phase of this library down the road. So thank you very much, Eddie, for your great work. I also want to, City Councilor Nina Liang from Quincy's here. Councilor, thank you very much for being here with us today. It means a lot. We also have some special guests from the Consul General from New York, from China, Mr. Chow and Mr. Wan. Whoa, how do you pronounce? Chui. On Shi Wang. Thank you. This started 5 years ago. I'm not sure exactly the month it was. It was, I think, in July of 2013. We were in the middle of a mayor's race. there was 12 candidates. I think at the time there was 8 candidates at the Quincy School, and we were in a room. We went in, and we were being grilled. One of the toughest debates we ever had by a bunch of young people, and all those young people demanded a couple of things. They were demanding that their community be preserved and be held for the future. They fought to make sure that we, as Chinatown changes and gets developed, that we always fight for affordable housing and making sure that people can stay here. They also had a big petition in the front of the room. So we spoke, and they asked the question of each one of us individually, and they said, would you, if elected, build a new library in Chinatown? And I forget who the first person was. It might have been John Barros, and he said yes. And then he signed the brochure, and then Robbie Consavo, I think, said yes. And then Felix Arroyo said yes, and Mike Ross said yes, and John Conley said yes, and I said yes, and we all said yes. And we all signed a petition about how we were going to preserve a library. And oftentimes, from that day until today, or that day until we got this approved, I thought in my head about the criticism that elected officials often get when they promise something during a campaign and people don't see what they promise all the time, and sometimes that promise gets delivered in a different way. Well, the biggest group of people that I want to thank, and I know a lot of people have fought for a library in this community for 50 years, a lot of elders and a lot of other people, but the biggest group of people that we need to say thank you to today, right now, is the young people that are older, and they're over here. You're going to see them in a little while, and I want to thank them for their advocacy. They're all about 2 feet taller than they were when I asked. But I want to thank the young people. I want to thank the Boston Planning and Development Agency, Brian Golden and his team, and all of the EDIC staff that's here today. All of the staff, you men and women here. I know you treated this like your own project in your own home. When I came in here and did a tour, I watched your faces. I saw the pride in your faces. I want to thank you for this. I want to thank you for making sure this happened. They were absolutely incredible, the staff here. No one really hears of the EDIC staff. They just hear that there's something out there. Well, this is a result of their dedication and hard work. I want to thank the Friends of the Chinatown Library. I want to thank the Chinese Progressive Association. I want to thank the Chinese Youth Initiative. I want to thank the entire Chinese community here in Chinatown. I'm excited to be here to join you for this milestone. It's been something that this community has been looking for a long time, and today we fulfill our promise by bringing library services back to Chinatown. This is an amazing, tight-knit community. I want to thank all of you for your active engagement through this process. Today is not about one side of Chinatown versus another side of Chinatown versus another side of Chinatown. This library is for all of Chinatown. This library is the result of a work of a lot of people over the years who might have worked in their own individual ways to make this happen. And today we came together because a lot of people came together. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank Carolyn Rubin and Suzanne Lee and Long Lin and so many other people. I shouldn't have gotten into names, but I did, and I apologize. But I want to thank so many other people that I could say thank you to. This community spoke up, and we listened. This has been a long time coming. There's been a lot of advocacy for this library. This library is going to offer resources in both English and in Mandarin. We have bilingual staff for our children's programming. We're going to provide the internet and access to laptops. We're going to be connecting people to immigration and citizenship information like we do in all of our other branches. We're going to do that right here in the Chinatown Library. This library is going to reflect the identity and the culture and history of this very proud neighborhood. It's where teens can come after school and stay engaged. It's where seniors can come and build connections, a place for our seniors in the daytime. And usually when I go to an event in Chinatown and I see seniors, oftentimes I see them before we walk in reading a book, and they can come here. This is where new immigrants can come and take the first steps towards building a life in Boston, a Boston that's welcoming to our immigrant community. In short, it's a place where everyone knows where they belong. That's the strength of the modern-day library. It unites and empowers. That's why we're making investments citywide in our library system. Not too long ago, we were going through difficult times in the library. I was at the State House. The library lost some money that was a dedicated revenue source from the city of Boston. They lost, the readership was down, attendance was down in libraries, and things were changing for the libraries, and there was conversation at that point that there was going to have to be closing of branch libraries. Since that time, we've been able to make adjustments and changes. We started with an investment in the Boston Public Library. Me and Menino made an investment. We kept that investment going. We continued that investment going today. We continue to look at redoing branches and building branches and looking to expand our library system. In this year, fiscal 18, we have over $14 million of projects in the works, and we have this is our local libraries, and we have 102 in the budget for fiscal 19 to 22. So we're going to make over almost $120 million investment in our local libraries over the next 6 years, something that hasn't happened in a long time. We're also making improvements down in Copley as well with our collections. You heard a lot about our collections, and we have some beautiful collections in the library that people haven't seen, and we're creating a new space now where people can come in and protect our collections. First of all, building a new area to protect our collections so it has a 21st century protection on it, but also a new area for people to come in and look at those beautiful things that we have in the library. And then also we're working with the Museum of Fine Arts to do other programs. So we're doing a lot of different things in our library, and all of that's due to the president behind us and the board of directors, David, so I want to thank you. I'm almost done. This is, I'm just gonna end with, this is an exciting day. As we look at Boston, and we look at the growth of Boston, you will often hear stories in the newspaper about all these great companies moving to Boston, and GE coming to Boston, and everyone's coming to Boston. The story leads that way. We talk about the growth of our city. We talk about the inclusion and the growth of our population and the amount of jobs we've added. Today is about adding services to the community. Today is about bringing a service back to a community that is needed. It's about making sure that we haven't forgotten where we started. And as a city, we haven't forgotten where we started. This library is for everyone, open to the public, but it's for this particular community that hasn't had a library service in in 5 decades, almost 6 decades. So I'm excited today. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited to see this incredible crowd. I also want to give a shout out that she just came in. City Councilor Michelle Wu is here. I want to thank, where's Councilor Wu? Thank you, Councilor Wu, up the back. How are you? And we have other officials from the city of Boston, and I want to thank you. I want to thank Sheila Dillon from Housing. I want to thank Commissioner Billy Evans is here. I want to thank Jerome Smith who's here. I shouldn't have done this. I want to thank Michael Taylor from Irving College is here. I want to thank all of Gina Fandaka from Transportation is here. So if you have any other issues besides library, we have transportation and housing and other services. God bless. Go Chinatown. Go Pats.
Thank you, Mayor Walsh. I also want to recognize on behalf of the Library's Board of Trustees, Paul LaCamera and Zamawa Arenas, who are here today. And now the program will have representatives from the community. We have 5 individuals that we've asked to say a few words. And every branch, one of its strengths is its friends group. And in Chinatown, we've had an active friends group, even though the library wasn't here. And so, to start, I'd like to invite Stephanie Fan, the co-founder of the Friends of the Chinatown Library, to offer a few remarks.
Good morning. This is so exciting, and it's so great to see so many people. It's very clear that we need a bigger library.
Thank you.
I want to just start by saying that I was a patron of the Chinatown Branch Library, iteration number 2. But I was fortunate enough to know somebody who patronized the very first branch library in Chinatown. She has since passed away, but she lived into her 90s, almost to 100. And she told me that she used the library. And even though she was not an immigrant, she was born here in Boston, she says one of the books that she remembers taking out from the library and studying was a book that was written for Irish women immigrating to Boston. And she learned from that book things that she should do, she could do, things that she shouldn't do or couldn't do. And to her dying day, she always conducted herself with great grace and dignity. And so I just want to thank her for her memory of that period of time. For me, myself, I was just a kid when I was using the library because it wasn't open for that long. And the books that I borrowed were not about things I could do or shouldn't do. I didn't want to know what I shouldn't do. But I read a lot of fairy tale books, ones by Andrew Liang. There was a red fairy tale book, the blue one, the green one. And I liked fairy tales at the time because they always had a happy ending. And the protagonist, if the protagonist was kind, compassionate, they always had a very good ending. And so here we are today, it's like a fairy tale ending. It's happy, at least for part one. And so we'll wait for part two. It's coming. And when we first started advocating for this library, the head of the library told us, you know, this might take a while because we don't think that your group is necessarily going to be here 5 years from now. You know, a lot of times people ask for things, but it's only one small group, a group of individuals, and then they're gone, and then what do? We're stuck with the library. And so he said it may take some time. And it's very reasonable for an agency to make that kind of comment, but we in the community, we had 100% confidence that our demand for a library would persist, and it's persisted for 17 years. So yes, we do want the library, and we will keep at it until we get the permanent library. And in closing, I just want to welcome and just reiterate what the mayor said. Even though this is labeled the Chinatown Library, since the old library closed, there have been many, many new residents that have come into this area. A lot of folks that have converted lofts in the Leather District. We have the Millennium, we have Kensington, we have a lot of apartments, a lot of residents in the area. And so I hope that this space will be a place where all the new people, as well as all the residents who've been here and living in this community for a long time, will be able to get together to learn from each other and learn about each other. Thank you very much.
Our second speaker in this part of the program, we heard earlier about the significance of the Chinese Youth Initiative and their role in advocating for this library to come back. And so our next speaker will be Alice Liang from the Chinese Youth Initiative.
Today is such an exciting and momentous day for the community, for the many organizations and individuals who have worked to advocate for a Chinatown library. For me, it's been 20 years since I first got involved with the campaign as a youth. I can still vividly remember that summer of 1997. I was just 16 years old doing a summer internship with the Chinese Youth Initiative. We were visiting Stephanie Fan at the Chinese Historical Society. She was giving a wonderful narrative of the history of Chinatown and showing us some amazing photos and archives. When she told us how there used to be a library in Chinatown, all of us wanted to know, well, where did it go? How come we don't have one anymore? So that was our call to action. We felt responsible and empowered to do something about it. It started off with a community survey, then community meetings and outreach, petitions, focus groups, talking to our elected officials. It's that same sense of empowerment, hope, and responsibility that have inspired the many youths who have worked tirelessly the last 20 years to persevere and continue this campaign. Today, I am a mother with 3 wonderful children, and I couldn't be more excited to bring them to the Chinatown Library. Some have said that this cannot be done. It will never happen. But here we are with the Chinatown Library. We have proven that with faith, perseverance, and community, the impossible becomes possible. Thank you.
So continuing our speakers from the community, I'd now like to introduce Dan Cheng, a Chinatown resident who has also been a long contributor to the advocacy work.
大家好，我叫陳丹心，我係華埠嘅居民。我今日啊特別開心，特別興奮。點解呢？因為我哋爭取咗17年嘅華埠公共圖書館，終於開幕剪彩啦。當我哋嘅居民啊知道咗呢個消息之後啦，就算喺我哋大廈，哇個個都好興奮，話：唉太好啦！我哋第日唔使去咁遠嚟借書啦咁。有啲人又話我哋入籍啊，都係靠圖書館借咗錄音帶、錄像帶嚟聽就得到入籍就。總之大家都非常高興，所以我今日啊為咗分享我哋嘅喜悅同埋興號，以及感謝有關人員呢對我哋華埠圖書館呢方面嘅關愛，我特別咧就獻上一首散文嘅詩寫得唔係好啊。總之我哋有咁嘅心同大家一齊分享一下。題目就係我愛華埠公共圖書館，我愛華埠公共圖書館。你係華埠公共圖書館，我們多麼期待你的出現。年復一年，我哋只在夢中相見。我哋爭取了17年，你今天出現在眼前，我們的夢想終於實現啦！華埠公共圖書館今天開幕剪彩，令人無限嘅感慨。這是大家付出咗愛。首先係華埠社區人士對圖書館嘅熱愛，持續發聲17載，終於獲得市政府的關愛，又承蒙市長委時兌現選舉諾言閃光彩，仲有各方面嘅支持同關愛分不開。作為華埠居民的我，衷心感謝大家對華埠嘅關愛。華埠公共圖書館，你多麼令人嚮往！你係知識完全的力量，你開幕嘅聲音激動了我們的心靈，擁抱世界的美景。今天你帶來了華埠社區人士的心願，祝福你健康穩定發展，共創永久性華埠公共圖書館的實現。你永遠活在我們的心裏，不用千言和萬語，我只講一句：我愛你，華埠圖書館。多謝。
And now our next speaker, the chair of the Friends of the Chinatown Library, Carolyn Rubin.
What an amazing day and what an amazing turnout. Thank you all of you for coming out here on one of these cold Boston winter days. I am so excited to be here, and right now my heart is filled with hope and I see a lot of light. When I look at this library, what I think about is the healing of an injustice that happened 70 years ago. I think about the strength and the resilience of an immigrant community that, despite all the pressures on it now, we are saying we are here to stay. And when I look out on this crowd, I think I see a cross-racial, multi-generational, native-born, immigrant-born community. And we are the future of Boston. We are Boston. On behalf of the Friends of the Chinatown Library, I wanted to take a few moments and thank the people that made this happen. Of course, I want to start by thanking Mayor Marty Walsh for coming through on his commitment, and to also thank his staff, Jerome and Dan. I want to thank David Leonard for embracing this challenge of bringing temporary library services back to Chinatown. I want you all to know that, David said to me that, this is an experiment for the BPL. They haven't done something like this before. So I really acknowledge the BPL, David, Eamon, and Priscilla for taking on this challenge and serving the community. I want to thank all the city council members who supported us, Councilor Wu and Councilor Flynn. I want to thank all the BPL Board of Trustees, particularly Byron Rushing, who gave us a lot of advice and support along the way, and to also thank Representative Aaron Michaelwitz for his support throughout this process. As the mayor mentioned, the youth have been the backbone of this campaign, right? The youth have been the backbone. A lot of them are here today, and I do want to take a moment and hopefully not embarrass them, but do say their names so they can be honored for this. So I want to thank Long Lin, Celine Chin, Adam Chin, Tristan Shi, Adam Wong, Andrew Wong, Jeff Lau, Ji Rong Lee, Emily Chin, Casey Shen, Nancy Huang, and all the youth of A-Voice and BCNC and Boston YES who also helped. I want to thank Annie Shaw and her children and her students from the Young Achievers Science and Math Pilot School, and also the children from Neighborhood School who also participated in that protest that we all remember. And I also want to thank all the community-based organizations that have been supportive of this effort over the years. I can't mention all of them, but I do want to call out the Boston Street Lab, the Chinatown Residents Association, the Chinese Progressive Association, the Chinese Historical Society of New England, and the Chinatown Coalition. So just the last thing I want to say is, the Friends of the Chinatown Library, we are very excited about this, and we know this is an important first step. We ask that you stay with us, that you join with us, and I want the mayor and I want the BPL to know that we are committed to working with you to bring a permanent branch back to Chinatown. Thank you.
And so we have one more speaker before we do the formal ribbon cutting, and at that point the library will be open. But now I would like to invite Lydia Lowe, also a member of the Friends of the Chinatown Library and longtime Chinatown leader, to the podium.
I'm not speaking, I'm going to read a poem. And the name of this poem is Renewals. In the beginning was the word that the Tyler Street branch was coming down, while all around the kids who played hide and seek on the street amidst goblins and fairies from borrowed books were speechless with loss. Then the bookmobile rolled in, here and gone, like the tinkling of the ice cream truck on a summer day. Sometimes they made their way to Copley Square, where all around old friends they'd found before waited to be checked out and renewed again and again. But afternoons soon filled with homework from school and homework from mom, poking the sewn fabric out with a wooden chopstick, more tickets, more pieces per hour. So in a drawer, the library cards now lay, buried under curling pages of S&H green stamps. Later, their own children cried for one more story, just one more. And recalling their days in the stacks, they tried to go back on weekends with the kids in tow, but running out to Copley Square was easier said than done. And soon their children and the children's children no longer knew the thrill of a finger run along the spines, the catalog of yellowed cards and dewy decimals, the hush of hollowed haunts and whispered rhymes. But one day, the young borrowed and renewed the elder's dream, passing it from teen to teen and screen to screen until the hope was in our throats. The words were in our lips again, a library for Chinatown renewed.
Thank you to all our speakers making today possible. This will conclude the speaking part of the program. We're now going to bring the ribbon out in front between these two pillars here and ask some members of the community to stand with us as we get ready to cut the ribbon.
Ask the little kids to come in the front.
And we really want to see the younger kids come be part of that because they're part of our future as well. And then there will be a dance performance that will announce the opening of the library. We will then be open until 3 o'clock today, and then we start regular hours on Monday morning. So thank you, and please enjoy your library.
What's up? Are you going to help me cut now? Hold on. Okay, yeah. Put your hand here.
Okay, look up, everybody.
Look over here.
Look up,
Put
look
your
up.
hand here. On 3. Look up. 1, 2, 3. Close it.